Stay tuned for more exciting programs only here on INC Radio.
This is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Don't underestimate
the power
of a single
conversation.
It could change your whole life.
INC Radio Chatline.
conversations that matter.
This is what I ask. Let me always dwell in the temple of the Lord till I
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of INC Radio's Chatline. Again, thank you for tuning in with us. This is the program where we have conversations that matter. I am your host for the day, also Janvel Cruz, live here from Rockford, Illinois, here in the district of Great Lakes. And don't worry, I'm not by myself today. Joining me in the panel is someone from New Jersey, so I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hey everyone, I'm Kat and I'm from New Jersey. Excited for today's discussion, EJ.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the topic, it is about intentions. Actually, it's not just the two of us as well. Actually, I forgot I should say I forgot Arnie where you're from. So go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Arnie. I am currently in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, Fort Worth, Texas. Actually, some of our responses that you'll hear later on is from Fort Worth, Texas. And as I mentioned earlier, our topic is going to be about intention. So, put simply, intentions is what a person plans to do, and it's very important for you to be able to express what your intentions are, especially if you're courting or if you're already dating someone. So, in order to truly be able to plan for your future, you should be able to share your vision of the future with each other. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, the impacts of intentions, and of course how important it is in a relationship and possibly marriage if you're already planning that far ahead. Which is kind of like leads us to Anna, to our first question is, what kind of plans do you have in life that are important to you? This should be an interesting question because we have get quite a little bit of a different stages in life here. Like for me, I'm just starting in my career, still trying to be financially secure. So mine would be a little bit different from my co-panelists joining me here today. So for you guys, what kind of plans do you have now in your stage of life, I should say?
Kat, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Arnie, you should go because you're more along the same lines as EJ.
Okay, so let me go. So right now, I'm in the stage of life where I think I have my career set, and I already have a house and a car and everything. So I think I'm pretty much set. So my goals now, I think, is just to travel and explore the world, go to different places. I do have friends in different parts of the world who are not able to travel. So I like to take the opportunity, since I have the benefits of traveling, to be able to go to different places and visit my friends who have not seen in ages.
Oh wow. So I want to copy paste. I also want to travel. I also have a career. I am focusing right now actually on financial security for the future. So I'm focusing now more on the 20-year plan, 30-year plan for retirement. So we're trying to set that up now, trying a few new things. So that's where I am. And also possibly pursuing an advanced degree, which is also very expensive. So it kind of cancels each other out. It's like you want extra income, but then you're going to spend it right away on an advanced degree.
And with this whole financial thing, I guess that should be one of my goals. But I think I've gotten to the point where I'm, as long as I'm okay surviving now, I'll be good. Because my whole thing is, somehow either we're gonna die or judgment day's coming. So I'm like, you might as well just live life, right?
Uh,
Yeah, but I feel like I same mindset, but also it would be nice to have options to also help others.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say
I have a
what
big
you,
family, EJ.
yeah, when you mentioned like earlier, some people would call that investment. Like you're, I don't know, you're paying to go to college to earn another degree, right? It expands your, your field of what you're able to achieve. For like I said, for me, I'm like just finishing, or I should say not finishing, starting. I'm just starting in my career. I'm still yet to find that one job that I feel like I can do for at least for the foreseeable future. And oh,
And you know, to go off of that, sometimes it does take a few career paths before you actually find what you want to do. Because when I first started, I majored in public relations. So I was doing a lot of things in public relations, but it was stealing my weekends because with public relations, it's literally 24/7. And
mm,
I'm like, I do enjoy it, but I want to kind of have a life of some kind. And so I went into a different path and I went into medical sales, and that too I loved, but that was another 24/7 job. So then I went to marketing for commercial real estate until I found my job at the airlines. And so I'm now a corporate instructor, and I love it because it's 9 to 5, weekends off. And so it's a great thing. So I don't want you to be discouraged because it may take a while, but somehow you'll find what it is you want to do. And it's usually not the first job you have.
yeah, I know. I can attest. No, actually, I have had like experience like working, and I would say I prefer that kind of like job as well, where it's kind of like set that you're set that I'm working, working Monday to Friday at a more reasonable time than my last job, because my last job started like really early in the morning. So I would prefer to not wake up that early again.
No, I agree with Arnie. It takes a while, I think, to figure out what you're comfortable with. And also as you change jobs, I mean, I've been working since I was 14, part-time and then full-time through college. And I also work part-time at school. So I think it takes a while for you to figure out what you really love, what you're willing to give up. And also, once you gain experience, it puts you at a higher level. So I think it's okay. I feel like that's what they even recommend is like to jump around every 2 years to give yourself that salary bump, especially if you've really garnered a lot of experience in whatever job that you have. So, not necessarily a career, EJ, but the job.
Exactly. And you have to love what you're doing. Like, I'm the type, I can't sit and do a desk job. That is not something I can do. Everybody in my family can do that, but I can't. But you have to love what you do because this is what you're going to spend a great portion of your day. You shouldn't be going to a place for 8 hours where you're miserable. So it has to be fun, something that you like, but yet get you that financial stability that you need.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like what I'm not focusing on, but it's definitely, I know that it's something that I would need, like in terms to advance like my future plans, like that financial security, being able to I like to call it being able to stand on my own 2 feet.
Mhm.
Not just like to a point where I don't have to rely on my parents for finances.
And that's true. Like for me, I can stand on my own financially, but I like I said, I should put financial up there, but unlike Kat, I don't have a big family. It is literally just me. So that's why, as long as I'm good with what I have for myself, I'm okay. But like Kat said, if you've got a family, that is something you have to do.
Mhm. Something that you have to include in your plans. Actually, speaking of plans, uh, this is something I'm gonna have to ask Kat, because for her, she's already booklet. And for those of you who don't know what booklet is, here in the Church of Christ, booklet are the members who are already married. So that's what we call them. So Kat, when you first met your husband, how did that? I would say, how would you say that change your plans? And for those of you who are not married, how would your plans change once you meet the one, or if the one comes along? You're muted.
Actually, my husband is older than me. So he was already done with school when we met. So he was already starting his career and I was just starting college. So I guess I had the benefit of someone who had been through college already. Although our career choices or our majors were quite different. He was electrical engineering and I majored in English. So those are two worlds apart. So as I was exploring what I wanted to do after I graduated, as our relationship got more serious, to be something that was long term and eventually marriage, which was our plan. Of course, I started to include him in his input in what I was doing for the future, like studying abroad, class schedule, especially when he moved from Chicago to New Jersey. Our schedule changed, and so those things, along with whatever we did for extracurricular, how are we going to spend our leisure time? And then is he going to spend time with my family? So slowly, he kind of just, became incorporated into my life. So I think that's really the best way to do it. Because you don't know if you want to spend the rest of your life with someone if you don't know all these things, like how they feel about things, how they see things, what are their plans for the future. Like, are they seeing the same future I'm seeing? I know it's hard. I think one of the questions I get asked a lot by my single friends is, when do you bring up that conversation? When do you start talking about future plans? Like, do you talk about, what you're going to do a month from now, 2 months from now? There's your birthday's coming up. Should you include them in your birthday plans? Things like that. So, definitely once, and I think he started doing it first, actually. So I was like, no, I'm good. I'm in college. I got a lot of stuff to do. I want to travel abroad. I want to go to grad school, maybe law school. And he's like, well, I'm moving because I'm serious about this relationship and I'll see you when I get to New Jersey. So, that's how I feel like it's always one person first. It's never at the same time. But you might be close, but one is always ahead than the other. So I feel like that's Arnie's laughing. Let's hear you, Arnie. Do you have any experience with this question?
Well, I mean, I guess kind of sort of, when I was younger, I did. That was something I wanted to have somebody in my life to share with and everything. But then I think as the years gone by, as I finished college, as I started getting careers, then my expectations started to get higher. Because hey, if I invested time in college and having a career, then I do want somebody who would want that. And I think with me, my problem was because people say I look younger than what I really am. So it tends to be the younger person who would ask me out. And I'm like, you haven't even gone to college yet, or you don't have a career, So then that's something I wouldn't entertain. And so now, I am open to it. I think the changes would be a little bit harder because I've been independent since I was 18, wherein I lived on my own since then, and moved out of the house, and so I've had to rely on myself. So I could do things with a car, I could do things with a house, and I haven't really needed to depend on somebody, and so I think that would be a little bit more difficult for me.
I don't see it as depending. I mean, I feel like it's a division of tasks. I guess when you get married, you have to, because you can't do everything, and you shouldn't do everything because you now have a teammate
Hmm.
to get things done, right? So you're both
Yes.
independent adults. You have your jobs and you have your own obligations, like financial obligations. So, but I can see someone who does something differently, which is very true. No two people do the same exact thing the same, even family members. So I will say from experience that is challenging, Arnie.
Yeah, and like now that I own a house, and I'm like, okay, now I really got to find somebody because this whole yard work thing is not cutting it. And then like
You can just hire
when
a landscaper.
well, I do, but why do I want to spend money on a landscaper when I can use it for traveling? So I was like, I need someone to do my garden. And then, like, when it gets hot, you have to change the filters and the air conditioning. So you have to go up into the attic to do that. I'm like, see, this is why I need a man around the house so they could do all these things for me.
Arno would say that you're at the point of or you're at the stage of life where I'm still working towards. So I and actually you guys said something that something interesting, especially Kat. You said something interesting that I haven't considered yet. Is that because for me, of course, I have my plans. I have sort of like my timeline for for the future, but I haven't considered how that would change once uh once I meet the one. You know, like I don't know how that would. I haven't considered how that would change that plan, that vision that I have, that timeline, I should say, that I have. I haven't considered it yet. That yes, they also have they also have their own vision, their own timeline, and will those two timelines meet up? Will they agree with one another? Will they disagree with one another?
What I'll say is actually, we do have a number of comments on our from our live streaming audience, who are actually bringing that point up exactly, EJ. But what I want to say to that is, I think this generation, the ones that I know coming up who are looking for the next stage in life, overthink how things are going to fit together. And the thing is, you're never gonna it never happens the way you expect it. If especially for those who say their prayers and who rely strongly on their faith, it never happens like it's in a movie. That's number one. For those I was one of those who watched a lot of like rom-coms, and I was like, oh, and then when I get engaged, it's gonna be like this, and we're gonna have this, and our wedding's gonna be like this. And we watch so much, also even on social media, like these prom proposals and stuff. I was like, that's not how it happened. That's not how it happens in real life. Like, that's is that normal, people? So I feel like, don't overthink it. First of all, you have to like each other. If you find someone and you just want to fit them into the box that you have that needs to be filled so you can get to the next stage, that's not really cool either. Because again, like, I saw Pauline make a comment. It's about where we want to be in 5 years, not where I want to be. So I think that's also a mindset thing. But also, don't worry about how it's going to fit in the future, because if you really want to be together, it's not something you can plan for. It's something that both of you have to plan for and have discussions about. So I think you should just enjoy someone's company, be friends first. Find out what you like, what you don't like. Morning person, night person. Like, are you a grumpy morning person? I feel like these are the things that no one thinks about when they're getting serious with someone. It's like, I'm a morning person. Can I really make it, with someone who doesn't get up till 3 p.m. in the afternoon? And like, like, how are our lives gonna be?
No, what you said about sometimes we kind of think of it like like a movie or like in a rom com where there's like these what do we call it, like checkpoints where of like these there's this checkpoint of like events or how they're gonna happen, but it's rarely like I wouldn't know, but as you said, it's rarely like that where it's not just gonna fit into like a like like a story from a movie or from a novel or something. Because I feel like even for me, that's kind of like how it's kind of like how I envisioned it would happen. But I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it when you said that it never happens that way.
Well, actually, you're in control. You're the guy. So if you're the one who wants to propose, then hey, you can make it like that. You know what I'm saying? So you could control that.
I
Yeah, but
guess so.
and anyone in the relationship can ask questions at any time, any stage. This is not, someone has to be quiet. I mean, you're trying to plan your future. Like, Perlin on the from the live stream says right now, like, they're focused on financial security because that's priority where they live. Like I'm sure Arnie, when she wasn't financially secure, was like, this is like my thing. Like I can't although I have no I was like, I kind of encourage people to date all ages.
Well, no, like no, I don't have problem with the ages. I don't, because I have dated people who were younger than me and those who are older. But depending on what stage of life you're at, because sometimes the young ones are great, but then sometimes they could be immature, since sometimes the male tends to mature later than the female. So those are things you take into consideration. But like I said, but the longer it takes for me to find somebody, I think the higher my standard gets. I have all these grandmas saying, "Hey, just it's okay, just get anybody." And I'm like, "Oh no, if I waited this long, it better be like the right one. I'm not just going to say, "Okay, let me just get a breathing body."
I have a number of friends who have married men 10, 15. I don't think anyone 20 years younger yet. And at the time, one of them actually started dating. He was still in school, college. And she would laugh. She's like, "Yeah, I call him. We're like, honey, what classes do you want to take next semester?" So she was the one helping him choose his classes. But you know what? They have thriving businesses now. They're both done with school and they have a baby and they're both so happy. And I did ask her, I was like, what made you consider him seriously
Hmm.
when you first met? She goes, he just made me laugh and he's so easygoing. She's like, I know it's because he's young, like he
Hmm.
hasn't, but she's like, but I like that. She's like, because I'm older and I already know like how hard life can be. But he's like, okay, he takes things one thing at a time, and he has a lot of jokes. He just looks on the lighter side, and so my advice is not just to you, but to anybody who's as find someone who you want to spend time with that makes you laugh,
Exactly. That is important, because it's true. Life is
who has
too
a job that
hard.
also makes you laugh.
Okay,
I love that clarification.
yes, because they can make you laugh all they want. If they don't got a job, then you're supporting two people.
Mm,
But no, and it's true. It does have to be somebody that makes you laugh, because, like you said, life is hard, and sometimes things are difficult. And if they can see the lighter things, it just makes it so much easier. So I do agree with that. I do want to find somebody who will make me laugh, because I tend to be on the serious side.
You kind of, I know, it kind of balances it out, right? Like, so one of you has to be serious, of course. You can't just be all laughs. Like, when it has to be serious, one of you has to be able to see the lighter, side of things, the funnier, I should say, the funnier side of things. Uh, but I feel like we kind of went off on a tangent there. But in terms of like how plans change, I realized that I haven't. There's a lot of things I haven't done. I haven't considered in that, again, like one being how my priorities will change, like what Pauline said. It's not and like it's not about what I want for the future anymore. It's like about what we would want for the future. And I feel like there's still going to be a bit of a compromise there. There will be situations where you would have to give way, right? Or you would have to change things in your original plan. And
Yeah.
But not too much, EJ.
no,
There are some things that I think everyone has non-negotiables about.
mm-hmm,
Like I have obligations this weekend. These are the times when I'm not available. We're not going, I won't be available for a date, certain times during the week.
yes.
Um, or travel plans. So I think it's okay to have non-negotiables, even though you're planning together, because everyone has them. Right. Even with my husband, when we plan our week or our month, it's like, all right, so what are the things that we absolutely have to attend? What are our appointments? What are our activities? What are what are the chores? We don't have a backyard, Arnie, so we don't have to worry about landscaping. But
Yeah.
we have other household chores that we have to do. So yeah, definitely it is a we thing, but each of us also has our own thing that we have to do, to take care of.
And I think that's important too, the whole being an individual, because even though you are with somebody, you're still yourself. And I think that when people lose themselves and just become a part of the two. I think that's where I see a lot of relationship strains. But because sometimes you really do have to do something for yourself, and it's not that you don't want to spend time with your husband. It's just you just need your own time, and I think people don't understand that.
Yeah, I
Thanks for
think
that.
yeah, especially when you're just to highlight when you also have other relationships that you want to pay attention to. I think your partner should, or your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife should also be aware that we have relationships that we also need to take care of, like our families, extended families or our friend groups. Sometimes people need us too, and I think they should accept if they don't want to be part of that relationship. That's okay, but they should be willing to give allowances for time if you need to take care of those people. So yeah.
Being able to not to communicate that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
Arnie.
no, that's fine. Oh.
No- Oh wait, I thought someone was trying to, someone was trying so actually we asked a couple of our Muklad what the best way to state your intentions are, and these are some of the answers that they have actually given us. If I can just, there you go. Sorry, I had to find where what it was, but there you go. So we asked them, what is the best way to where's the question? Yeah, what is the best way to state your intentions? And from Charlene in Jumps to Lau, they said, tell the other person people are not mind readers, even though we may want to be, which is very on brand with what said earlier. Communication. And from David and Carolyn Cheng, their advice is very upfront, just like their answer. Be honest and upfront with your intentions. And for they said honestly, or I should say, uh, that for the question, what is the best way to state your intention? They said honestly, gradually, but with noble intentions, as defined by the teachings we follow. Oh, sorry. If dating and courtship aren't working towards marriage, you may be wasting your time or the other person's time. So that answer was from Nathan and Melanie Russell. So, what are your guys' thoughts on those answers that our booklet have shared?
I think a lot of conflicts or misunderstandings come from the expectation that the other person should be able to predict your schedule or your behavior. Like, because if you've been together for a long time, you should know that every Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a coffee like this, like this. Like, sometimes people forget, especially when you're early on, and learning your person's patterns is a lot. I have my own stuff to deal with. I can't always remember every single thing you tell me, although I would love that. I have a decent memory, but sometimes things get overwhelming as well. And I can only focus on myself. So sometimes I have to ask my husband, what was the thing that you said? He's like, well, I told you like so many times. Like, I'm sorry. Can you put it in the schedule? Like, put it somewhere I can see it. So I think when people rather than wait, I feel like this is like a trap. Sometimes some people wait until to test if that other person remembers something they said. And then the moment passes, and then like an hour, they're like, I knew you were gonna forget. I knew you were gonna. I was just like, when people tell us like, why didn't you just say something in the moment? It's like, well, I wanted to see, if he would remember. I was like, you guys are doing a lot. Like I feel like, there's no need to add fuel to the fire if you're already having like a bad start to the day or the event. I feel like you should just stop and say, hey, we said we're going to do this thing at 10 a.m. Let's do the thing. And probably just forgot, and then argue about why you forgot. That's something else. But to focus on those things, and to like this idea of testing. Someone recently asked me that. One of my single friends is like, yeah, I think I'm going to test him. I'm like, why?
Boy.
I
Go
feel
ahead,
like,
Arnie.
oh,
And like what Nate said, I totally agree with that because yes, you have to be honest and upfront when you're in the dating stages, and you're not going to say, okay, I plan to marry you, whatever. But that should be the intention when you are courting somebody. It's not just to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend at the moment as a placeholder until you find somebody else. You know what I mean? So I think being upfront with their intentions, I think that that is how it should be.
I do like that being what do you call it? Like you said, being honest though with not just with your intention, but I feel like at the or I should say cat. I feel like cat. The in like in that that kind of like I'm gonna test him. I'm gonna test her. Kind of like face. I feel like that's more with like your first relationships, maybe, or
No, it's
like as
actually
you
not. It's
It's
actually not.
childish.
It's childish, but it
It is.
happens at every age.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it tends to happen maybe at like the first relationships, and then you kind of get that experience. Like
I wish that were
not a good
true,
thing.
EJ. I wish that were true,
Not a
but
good
it's
thing.
not. It's not true. It happens at all stages in relationships, especially I feel like when they're at the crux of the time where they're gonna either be serious, like they're gonna decide to commit, or someone's expecting a proposal, and someone's just thinking about it, or the first time. I will say, I guess you're right in the sense that public public displays of affection regarding holding hands, where to stand, you didn't open the door, like these small things that people have expectations about, but they never discuss it. Like, why don't you just say something? I mean, not in public, have the discussion, say, I'd really appreciate it if you could just open the door sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Or
I think the whole testing thing, beside it being childish, it's like you're trying to pick a fight, you know? So it's don't test them. Hey, if they forgot, just remind them it's not a big deal. Or if they're not paying attention to me, say, hey, I really feel like you're not paying attention to me. Can we have a discussion? Because I think with open communication, that's what's going to help things out, not by testing. Testing really doesn't do anything. Like you said, it starts a fight.
and also, I think if you find out this information up front right away, you'll know already you're not compatible, or
Hmm.
this person is not ready for the kind of relationship you're looking to have. And that's okay.
Being able to have that open communication as
Yeah, or
Exactly.
if they don't want to open the door, if they never want to open the door, if they never want to pay the bill, for the food, if they never want to hold hands in public, like if you like to do all these things, or you want the other person to do these things, they don't want to do it, that means you're just not meant to be. You're not compatible. They have to
Exactly.
find someone else.
what if they're
Exactly.
I don't know. What if they're like let's say they're uh what do you call those people afraid of like germs and they're like I don't want to touch the door. I don't want to touch the door.
Bring some wipes,
Yeah.
some hand
That's so
sanitizer. I have some. I
strange.
have some in my bag. I spray my husband's hands all the time.
Yeah.
Give me your
Okay.
hands.
And
Mm,
and that's an excuse, because then if they were going out on their own, who's going to open the door for them? Do you know what I'm saying? So I think that's just an
they
excuse.
wait for they wait for someone to open the door and just
Just gonna
like
stand
in
there and wait.
pursuit.
No, that's not. That's so funny.
No, but that's that's just an example scenario maybe. And but what I'm getting is like that kind of like being able to communicate, right? Like how you're feeling or what you're thinking. It helps. It helps in the terms that you can avoid maybe a misunderstanding. You can avoid like a possible disagreement, right? If you're able to communicate it to the other person, which is sort of like what our next question is about. Is it's why is it important to share and discuss your plans or goals with someone that you're dating and possibly considering for marriage? So why is it important to share your intentions with them or your
Um,
plans, I should say?
I think for me, if the person knows where I stand and knows what I'm expecting, then you could, early on know if, because if that's not something they want, then that's when you'll say, hey, then maybe this is not going to work out. Because if you don't give your intentions until like 2 3 years into the relationship, then that would have been like 2 to 3 years that you had wasted, that you could have tried to find somebody else. That's for me.
Mm.
From my experience, when I have parents, I have parents who have children who are of age or who are looking to get married and have not been successful in their previous relationships. I talk to them and I ask them, "What is your timeline? Like, realistically, do you want to be married within the next 5 years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?" Because I know other people who are also very serious in starting a family. They want to move on to the next stage of life. So those are that's the reason why you should talk about your future, because you need to sync up your timelines. And I just want to add something that I noticed that happens in the very beginning stages of getting to know someone is no one really wants to say what they don't like. And I don't mean to say you should come prepared with your list on your phone and you just these are the things I don't like. So if you don't like these things either, we shouldn't, hang out. I just want to say it's okay to try new things, but it's also okay to say, hey, I'm not a fan of Chinese food. Next time, can we do Mexican? You have to find a compromise, and don't be afraid about saying what you like and what you don't like, because you're both there, exactly what Arnie said, spending your time, your resources, your energy, and your effort. Like, I have a very small social battery now. So I can't be I can't be out for 2 hours trying to make polite conversation, eating food I really don't like.
That
And
reminds me of something that I don't know who told me. I don't know if it's my parents or just someone older than me. They said that like to be mindful of like what I'm not okay with now, because that might cause a possible issue in the future if I'm just not telling the other person, oh, I know I'm not a fan of this. I don't like the show. I don't like this kind of like food, like that example that you mentioned that, and they did tell me that like for me to be mindful if I'm really going to be okay with that in the future.
I totally agree. You have to be upfront from the start, because like you said, you don't like Chinese food and you don't say anything. And every time you guys go out, you go to Chinese food, then you're bottling it up inside. And then eventually one day you're going to burst like, quit going to Chinese food. I hate Chinese food. You know what I'm saying? Then it's just going to become big argument. But if you tell them from the start, like for me, when people ask me, hey, do you want to go out? I'll say, yeah, I will go out with you. And they say, what do you want? And I say, these are what I like. I will not go to Vietnamese. I will not do Indian, but everything else I'm okay. I'm okay with Japanese, Mexican, American food, but don't take me to an Indian restaurant because I won't eat. You know what I'm saying? And that's not being picky or anything. It's just letting you know your preferences so that hopefully if you do ask me out, you're not going to take me to an Indian restaurant.
Yeah, there was one couple I knew, they had planned a big, like, a bunch of their friends had planned a big trip to go like skiing, snowboarding, one of those things. And my friend was like, I don't like doing any of that. And I don't want to tell him because he's so excited and all. I was like, all right, so you're gonna go to the bunny slope, or you're gonna spend time in, where you can have some hot chocolate and read a book. That's what you're gonna be doing. Or maybe you can be like this person to hold their stuff. Like, there's a way to compromise and there's a way to be present as well.
Exactly.
But you have to find a way, and that's why you have to. Why that's why it's important to talk about the future, EJ. Because what if someone does have plans? What if someone is in grad school or wants to go to medical school? Like, that's a 12-year plan. You're just starting off, like, you're still just getting your bachelor's degree. That's another how many more years this person has to deal with you being in school if you're going to stay together. That's like a joint investment in time.
Yes.
Or if your partner is or your boyfriend, girlfriend is an entrepreneur, and you have to think about that, like, oh man, are we gonna have money issues? Like, what's the you have to, and the person who is the entrepreneur has to be vulnerable enough to say, honestly, this is how much I have in the bank, this is how much I bring in. If we were to get married, this is all I can afford. So don't expect a big diamond ring. Like, or something like that. Or, like, we're not going to be able to take expensive vacations right now. I have to finish grad school. We can take, like, staycations or something like that. But that's why it's important to talk about your plans for the future, because the other person might be like, medical school waiting for you, not really for me. Knock on my door in 12 years and then we'll talk about it. What are those things? So
Yeah, knock on my door when you're already a doctor.
Oh no. But I like that. I like that point of being able to communicate to that degree, right? You're able to. I forgot what I was trying to say, but like like being able to communicate to the other person as well. Of like you're like you said that I feel like plans in school, like let's say with the example that you mentioned, Kat, the one in like in the medical field, but that's like you said, that's like a 12 year commitment to achieving that to achieving that career. And I have seen couples who they were able to they were able to, like, one of them is like pursuing like the medical field, and like I have seen their relationship kind of like adjust to that kind of like plan. And uh just recently he actually graduated from 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 medical school, and like seeing that they're still together, they're still happy. It's like it's nice to to be able to see that it that it worked out, that they have had that that they have had that communication from the start. What's that saying? Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes. And you know, the whole communication thing, sometimes it works out for the best. For example, like if anyone was ever to court me, I would say, hey, I don't want you to spend money on a diamond ring because I don't wear jewelry, so I don't need an engagement ring. Bring me on a cruise, take me on a trip. That could be my engagement ring. Do you see what I'm saying? So now they don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a ring because you had that communication to begin
Yeah,
with.
and then if the guy says, "Arnie, I really want you to have this diamond ring, so please wear it, thank you."
Then if it is a big deal, then yes, I would, because if that's what it is. And also because there's conversations that people or they don't have. Like I have friends who, the man is expecting them to take their name, and the woman says, I just don't want to change it. I don't want to do all the different things you have to do to change your name and getting new documents. So I want to keep my name. And I'm like, that's a conversation you guys should have had from the start. You can't wait until after you're married and like, okay, when are you changing your name?
Yeah, that's an important one, EJ. I have to say to make sure
I
to
would say I'm not too particular. Like I'm not too particular on
at
that. They
least
want to
at
put my
least
name,
at least
sure.
discuss the hyphen.
Mhm. But thank you for bringing that up, because like you said, that is definitely a discussion that would that I would need to have with whoever whoever I am now, whoever I meet in the future. Like I said, I'm not like actually, like I mentioned earlier, like, the whole dating marriage thing, it's not at the front of like, or it's not in the forefront of my mind right now. It's somewhere there. It's in that box at the back of my mind of like thing, like possible plans for the future. Like along with like other things that I also want to try, like mountain climbing. It's something that I want to try, but it's still at that box at the back of my mind of like just possible plans for the future. Right now the plans are just uh like like how should I word this? Like my plan right now is like building that foundation to the home that I'm building. Building that foundation, having that financial stability before I even consider. I don't know if you guys heard this from last week, but that's something that I also mentioned of like, if I'm planning to, or before I even ask someone out, I've already considered past just dating them. Like I already considered, like if I were to marry this person, like would like, and the conversation that we had today that you guys were mentioning, it is very much brought up a lot of things that I haven't considered yet, like before even considering like marriage, like like I said, the things that I would be okay with, the or like incorporating their their plans in my plan,
You
uh,
know,
and things like that.
I
Uh,
have to agree with what you just said, because sometimes when people ask me out, and before I even say yes to just like a casual lunch or dinner, I do think of that. I'm like, okay, because what's the purpose of saying yes, let's go out to lunch and dinner, and then eventually say no, that's not who I want to end up with. So sometimes I do have that in my mind, like just from what I know of the person, is that something that I could live with? Because sometimes if you know somebody and let's say smoking, they're a smoker and I don't want people who smoke, then why would I even entertain the fact that sure, let's go out, and then try to change him and tell him don't smoke? So that is something I do consider when people do ask me out. So for me, I don't think that's bad.
The only thing that I don't really get, EJ, about having that mentality is how well do you know them before you ask them out? Because I think the way of getting to know nowadays is so different than, before social media. I feel like people sometimes get this skewed idea of someone they would want to pursue because of what they see on social media, but there's so
Mhm.
much more to someone
Mhm.
besides what they post on social media or whatever they're tagged in,
Like I
right?
feel like for me, I would like even if I did like know them, like at first I would have to know them in person. I would have to know them in person. That's like one of the
Really?
things that
That's
are like very
interesting.
important to me. Yeah. I can,
I know so many successful marriages that started out as video pals, I guess what you would call
Mhm.
them. They
Or
met
just
over
meeting,
video.
yeah, like maybe in one of the meeting greets activity, right? Where they go. But yes, for me, I would have to know them. Like, I'm not opposed to like being friends with someone, but being friends with someone online. But like I feel like before I consider before I consider them a potential partner, I would have to meet them in person, and not just meet them in person. I would have to spend time with them in person as friends just so because I feel like I need to pick up first on like their mannerisms, what they're okay with, how loud they are. No, I'm just kidding on that last
Is
part.
that important to you, EJ, how loud they are?
No, I'm just kidding on that last part. uh,
Hey, if it's important to you, it's important to you. No judgment.
Yeah.
uh,
But see, for me, I kind of disagree on that regard because sometimes, for me, I'm okay with possibly considering going out with somebody that I have not yet met because then, like you said, that's how you get to know them.
mm,
And, sometimes it just y- sometimes excitement dies out when you've known each other as friends for too long, and then so it's more like, hey, sure, let's get together kind of a thing, as opposed to
mm.
the excitement of meeting somebody new and the prospect of something happening.
I guess it's no, I guess it's my personality. I'm like I feel like I need to know and like who are you?
But
Like if
but
there's too many unknowns, I get nervous.
well,
Hey,
there's no way to get around awkward moments
Mm,
or
yes.
learning moments. Like that
mm.
just goes on. Even when you're married, you learn new things. It's like an onion. You just keep peeling away layers and layers as the years go by.
And you can know them, but they can still hide things from you and you don't figure it out until later. So, because I've dated people that I've known for a long time. And then when you're dating, it's different. And I'm like, okay, I never saw that when we were friends, right? And then I've dated people who I did not meet in person, at first, and it worked out well. So I think it just depends because people could hide.
And also, when you're dating someone you've known for a long time as a friend, your perspective changes because it's like, oh, well, now I know how he treats his family members. Like, is that how he's going to treat my family members? Are things that are important to you that it changes. It's like, even down to, eating in the car. Are you allowed to eat in the car? You're not allowed to eat in the car. It's like, how much time am I going to be spending in this car? When we take road trips, so those things, when you're friends first, it does change. There is some level of comfort and knowing someone, but you don't know them the way that you will get to know them if you go down that romantic route.
Hmm.
So EJ, you won't know everything. Trust me.
No, I'm okay with not. No, I'm okay with not knowing everything. I think I feel like for me, it's like more like learning about how they react to things, how they, because I feel like it's more genuine when you're not trying to impress the other person. Right? Like if you just known each other as friends, like the reaction to things, like it's more genuine. And I feel like I would know more about them that way.
But
Because
that
with
feeling of impressing one
see, this is my
another,
problem with online because
that
I can't like really see how they are with their friends. I can't see how they I know how their what's the right word for these sort of like mannerisms
yeah.
or it's like around
But
their
but their mannerisms will also change when it's just the two of you.
Hmm.
mm,
There's the public person, and then there's the private person. So that's the thing about when you're one on one, which you can have over video and text messages and voice messages and video messages that they will never reveal to their friends who in public. So that's something to consider as well. EJ, I think I think when you find someone you like and you never want to say goodnight, you'll just take whatever time you can get together.
And I think the whole impressing thing, I think that's part of the excitement, in a relationship, because if if they're taking the time to try to impress you, then at least okay, so they must like me to want to do this.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Even when
There's,
you get married, it birthdays and anniversaries are still always like a tough gifting experience for me because I want to top myself from the last time. So that impressing doesn't go away.
mm-hmm.
Doesn't.
And it
Uh,
shouldn't. It shouldn't. Because, what I've seen, like when the marriage goes stale, it's because they're not doing anything to try to impress each other like they used. And that's what I hear. Like, when we were dating, you used to do this. Now we're married, you don't do that anymore. And so whenever it's just funny because I have friends who are married who asks me for advice, right? And I tell them, I'm like, you got to treat it like you guys are still dating, even though you're married, because that's what's going to keep it alive. So
I like those. I like those answers. Actually, we ask as well our buklod, like for them when the best time is to discuss your plans or your intentions. And since it feels like it's kind of uh on the path of like what we were talking about. So let's see what they've said about when the best time is to discuss your plans or your intentions with a person that you have a relationship. I can find where it is. Oh, there it is. Okay. So when is the best time to discuss your plans or intentions with whom you started a relationship with? So the first answer says, I think this answer is all relative to individual relationships. Some would feel it comes on quickly, others might wait for longer. I think it comes down to when you both are comfortable with each other enough to talk about it after already being established for however a long length of time. So that's from Mark and Willing Hargis. And the next answer is from David and Carolyn Shank. They said, all the time for when the best time is. They said all the time. Plans can be listed but also be changed constantly, so being open and discussing ideas and plans should always be brought up. And in the next answer says in the very beginning of the friendship relationship, get to know the person well and let them know your plans and intentions for the future. Oh, sorry, I skipped that. I skipped that. When we were dating, we talked about marriage from the very beginning. First of all, know your intentions with this person. We also discuss our life and the future we want to have, our dreams. And if those are aligned, we continue on praying for our relationship to grow. And it's something that we still do today. So that's from Charlene and John's to Law. I know that last answer was pretty long, but what are your guys' thoughts on those answers?
I agree. I totally agree with what all they all said.
Like, I like the one where it says when you're both comfortable enough to communicate that with each other. But you guys feel like maybe it should be earlier or
I
later?
I don't know, what is this the intention to have a life together? Is that the intention
Like
we're talking
you're
about? Or are we
discussing
talking
your
about like anything you want to do?
I know, like you're like at the stage where you're trying to figure out like compromises in your plans, like making that plan for for us, not just for me, not just for you, it's just
Oh,
us.
so I feel like you can always have that conversation if you're even just planning your early dates. Like, hey, I have a thing coming up here. Do you want to meet me afterwards? I have a work thing. You want to meet me afterward? Let's go hang out. I mean, that's an easy plan. But if you're talking about planning for the future, like getting married or moving things along to be more serious, sitting down with parents and letting them know that, you're serious about what you want to do next, then I feel like whenever that person feels like it's ready, you don't you don't sometimes I- well, you can't always be comfortable with everything, even as a married person. Like, you can't always be comfortable with a conversation you're going to have. I
Mhm.
already know what might worry my husband if I say something in a certain way, or I know that maybe there's an emerging problem that we'll both have to find solutions for, like we'll have a conflict of schedule. So I feel like it's okay for one person to say, hey, I'm ready to talk about the next step, so that the other person can say, hey, I'm not ready, but I might be ready in a month or two. Or what do you mean? Please talk me through this. And I feel like the best time to share your plans is not when that other person is super stressed out and like very worried about other things. You know,
Mhm.
talk about it when you're both calm and relaxed. You have your coffee, you're having dinner. Talk about it in a time where you're both in a good mood, so that you can both be present in the conversation and not checking your phones, posting on social media. That's like the worst time. I mean, you have to agree that no phone while we have this conversation. It's just going to be us talking. So I think if you want to be practical about it, yeah, pick a time when it's that time.
Mhm. To not to be able to I like that, like making it a schedule, right?
Yeah,
Not just pardon the term, like not just dropping the bombshell
no,
out of
exactly.
nowhere.
Which is why I'm okay with video calls, because sometimes you can't have the in-person conversation. As long as there's eye contact and they're not distracted by anything else, that's a time to have a serious conversation. If a serious conversation needs to be had.
How about you out there, Arnie? Like, what are your thoughts on
No, I agree. I think you guys will know when to have that conversation. Like you said, it could be one person knowing before the other, but I think early on having conversations is really important, and don't wait, don't drag it out for too long.
Yes. And one thing I do want to mention is, if you want to be the only person that other person is dating, please say so.
Yes,
Please say
please.
it. Please say it, because the other person doesn't know. Like, you've only gone on one or two dates. Maybe you're just having text messages, or you hung out one time and the other person's like, I don't really know. And then you're like planning your whole future around this person. And then
that?
you see pictures of them on social media with someone else.
I
That's not cool. So ask that question.
totally agree. I totally agree with that. That is so important because you got to be on the same page.
Mhm. I like that. I know. I like that piece of advice, and I hope that all of you in live chat take that to, to heart as well. So as we close up today's topic, actually, first just want to say thank you to Katlea and to Arnie for joining me here today. And as we close up our topic, I just want to tell everyone, like it's important to not just be aware about what your plans are, but also be clear to what you want to do, especially when you start incorporating someone else in your life. Communication is very important, and it lessens the amount of if you can avoid hurting the other person, that's what we want. So it lessens those kinds of like situations. So be open to communicate with one another. And of course, importantly, it's important for you as well to be able to take that time to assess what your plans are, what your intentions are for the future. I hope you all enjoyed today's show. Again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of INC Radio Chatline, where we have conversations that matter. If you have any suggestions on like topics, or you would like to hear more about us here on Chatline or hearing the question, so feel free to leave it in the live chat or in the comments, or you can also email us at chatline@incradio.net. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to INC Radio DCM 954 and download the streaming apps which work on both Android and iOS devices. We'll see you again in our next episode here on INC Radio Chatline. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye bye.
This is what I ask. Let me always dwell